All right, here we are. Well, thank you so much, everyone. We are officially in our second week of the 21-day quantum healing session. Um, the theme for this Zoom that we've set up is being fully in the present moment and in the now. And it's such a beautiful day to be doing this because I don't know if you guys noticed, but today is the International Women's Day. So I
Ooh,
just wanted to take a second to celebrate each and every one of you for taking a step by saying yes to the universe and yes to yourself for your own work and doing your own healing. And I think it's so brave when we step out of our comfort zone and we start doing the inner work, the shadow work, when we start acknowledging I can be better, life can be better, everything can be better. And when we start doing that work for ourselves, it starts to fall in place for all the people we love around us. And so on
mhm.
this beautiful day of International Women's Day, thank you for joining a quantum healing session, even when you weren't exactly sure what it was or what it would be like or how it was going to work, but knowing somehow intuitively that it was going to be right for you. And I just want to celebrate you for doing that. And I want to plant the seed inside of you for doing more of that, following more of your dreams and following more of that yes inside of you. I have these beautiful yin yang harmony
Mm.
balls. And so I'm just going to kind of clear the space, any negative energy, any thoughts, any work stuff that's still in our head from the day. These chimes are coming and they're just kind of clearing that space away. And I'm going to hand it over to Brittany, who's going to talk to us and teach us so much about staying in the present moment. Oh, we've got some more people coming in, so this is perfect. Let me let them in before. All right, so for everyone that's just joining, we're handing it over right now to Brittany as we're going to be talking and learning a little bit about being in the present moment and what that means and celebrating you on International Women's Day. Brittany, go ahead.
I love it. Thank you. So there's a lot to say about staying in the present moment, which is what living a life of Reiki is actually all about. So there are principles that go along with Reiki that I will kind of follow along with here that will help us to stay in the now. But I think the most important things to know are that Paige and I can lead you on meditations. We can do Reiki, we can do healings, and what helps to shift you the most is to change your daily patterns in your everyday life. So by, we can help shift the energy, we can realign. And as we send you back out into your everyday life, we want to give you some tools to maintain that space, or you'll find that it will all kind of build back up and you'll get back to the space where you need another healing. And we all do that. And Paige and I do that. And we can heal ourselves. We can go see other healers. We can heal each other. And it helps the most to be able to do a little bit on your own. So I think some things to start are presence is important because the present moment is the only moment we really have control over. We don't have control of the past. The past is over. We can't change it. As Paige did her beautiful healing, we know that living a life of regret does not bring us any benefit, and we've all been there. I always told Max I wish my superpower was to go back in time, but I know that's because there are many things I would change. But knowing, and it's a hard lesson, right, that we wouldn't be who we are today if we didn't go through exactly that. So we have to let go of the past, but we also cannot focus on the future completely, as in worrying about the future, controlling the future, because it doesn't work. So the only moment we have control of is right this very minute. And as you realize you're going through everyday life and you don't even know what's going on, you went through your whole day, you're like, how did I get here? You're driving, you got home, you're like, I don't even remember how I got here. It's bringing that back to the present moment. And if you can learn to actually start to notice, which I think we may have talked about on the first Zoom, you have to get to the point where you start to notice when that left brain is taken over and you've been gone. You're not present, you're not there, you're not with the people around you, you're not doing the task you're actually doing, you're just off somewhere else in your head. So it happens, but the more we practice, the more we can bring back to that present moment. That helps maintain inner peace. It helps bring happiness. Joy is actually in the present moment. So I'll go over these principles, hopefully a little bit quickly, but as you see, I can talk a lot sometimes. So these Reiki principles are a little bit like affirmations, and you've read now my Reiki session text that I sent out, and I like to give affirmations that go along with chakras, go along with anything you want to change in life, because another point to bring is as we start to shift these thoughts, right? Our thoughts bring about things. What we think about, we bring about. So when we start to control our thoughts, we start to bring more of the things that we want into life. So affirmations are things stated in the present moment. So it's always, I have this now. I have already received this. Just for this moment, I'm doing X, Y, or Z. So these are similar to affirmations, and we can talk more about those. But it's also important to know, I think we talked about too, the emotions like worry, anger, etc. They're not bad. They're just there as guides. So we have to start thinking of them as guides and accepting them and saying, oh, hey, worry, I hear you. You know what? Right now I'm talking to Paige. Right now I'm helping Max with his homework. I can get to you later, because right now in this present moment, I can't control what I've done or need to do tomorrow. So the Reiki principles start with, just for today, I am worry free. So if you don't know how to shift your thoughts, you could start to bring these principles to mind. So I sense myself worrying. I'm getting better at becoming the observer of my thoughts. So I caught myself this time and I said, you know what, just for today, I'm worry free. The idea is that anything done for one day is pretty simple. And if I decided to say, I'm not going to worry for the rest of my life, that probably would not be something that would be doable. And I'm like, well, I better give up now, because that's impossible. So the more that we do this, we start to shift our brain patterns, and we actually create new neural pathways in the brain. And by doing this over and over and over is how we create lasting change. So that could be also to creating different patterns. Like maybe today I got up and I brushed my hair before I made my coffee. And just by doing that, by switching up a pattern in a small way, it helps to create new neural pathways. So we're retraining our brains to see things differently, to have a different perspective, and that is creating these new neural pathways. So that is a big one. Just for today, I'm worry free. I'll touch a little bit on that, with just based on expectations and perfectionism, which are something we've all dealt with. So a lot of people have these unrealistic expectations, and we've just set ourselves up for failure. You have to look at your expectations and figure out, is this actually something that's attainable? Is this my own expectation? Is this an expectation I let someone else put on me? And start to set your own expectations for yourself, but make sure you're pushing yourself only to something attainable. You don't want to set yourself up for failure. Another thing, perfectionism, as I said, that's typically a way for us to control the future. So if we feel out of control, maybe we have to do everything right, we have to do everything perfect, my grades must be perfect, my look must be perfect, my house must be perfect, and this is just a way for us to control a situation. It's not always helpful. You'll find that sometimes when you're doing that perfectionism, you're actually escaping the present moment. So some people may, when I'm worried, when my friend is worried, she's cleaning the house, she's doing this, she's shopping, she's doing this because she's escaping the present moment. So she's got to bring it back to the present moment and say, what can I control right now in this moment, and not worrying about tomorrow or the next day. It's good to prepare, but not try to control that next situation. So the next one is, just for today, I'm anger free. And I've learned a lot about anger from the woman who taught me family constellation, Natalie, that I really didn't know. And in Reiki, just for today, I'm anger free. So anger is a secondary emotion, and it typically runs on a loop. So it's often a survival need, because when you're sad or feeling, like I can't really go through this, Anger is actually a survival technique that helps us get through a period where maybe we wouldn't be able to survive without it. Maybe we don't know how to feel. Maybe we're just trying to keep going, and anger actually keeps us on this loop of being stuck. When anger is looked at in the knowing field or the family constellation field, often underneath it is a big pot of sadness or grief. So you really want to pay attention to anger and start to thank the anger and see what's underneath it. So give it a time, say, I'm going to be angry for this many minutes today, but what am I really feeling? And maybe you have no idea, but that's something you could journal about, meditate about, because it's not benefiting you in the long run. So we have to start to look underneath anger. Just for today, I'm anger free. And you know what? Maybe tomorrow you will have some anger, and that's okay. But today, maybe tonight, maybe you're journaling, maybe you look to see, is there something I'm actually really sad about? What am I really angry about? And start to bring it back to that present moment. Thank the anger, let it go for today, bring it back to the present moment, and you've got to move on. Just for today, I do my work honestly, which took me a long time to study this principle, but it really comes down to authenticity and truth. So we have to start showing up for ourselves in every moment. And what does that look like? Showing up with our own beliefs, figuring out what beliefs are ours, what beliefs were passed down to us, what beliefs were put on us by religions or society, and saying, does this belief still benefit me? So really start to look into what your beliefs are, start to figure out how you really feel about something, and show up in that authentic moment as yourself. And that's you in the present moment, showing up as you, true feelings. You can still say them with grace and truth, but really get to know yourself. This means saying yes when you mean yes, and no when you mean no, which was a big one for me. Those of us who are people pleasers find ourselves saying yes when we actually mean no, and we're like, ah. So it's setting boundaries for yourself. It's knowing your worth, knowing your value, and this is going to help you to feel better about yourself in each moment. It's less regret, and I've been through that. You know, when you've really shown up and you're like, sorry, I don't want to do that. That's okay. It's showing up as your true self. You don't have to make anyone else happy. It's not helping you in the long run, and it's probably not helping that person either. So really showing up as yourself, authentic in your own truth, is very, very important. And it's also kind of known as shedding the mask that you would show in public. So you shouldn't, or you don't need to show up as someone that you're not when you're out in public. You should feel comfortable, or maybe better to use the word you could choose to be more comfortable as your true self out in public. And that's a little hard for some of us too, and it takes practice. It's about letting go of who we're supposed to be and showing up as who we actually are. It's loving yourself, accepting yourself, and seeing yourself as perfect as you already are. Just for today, I'm grateful for my many blessings. I don't think that we need to go over that a lot more. We've gone over gratitude, the attitude of gratitude. The more I'm grateful for, the more I attract to be grateful for. These are affirmations. You can Google affirmations. Paige and I would be happy to go over some with you if you need help with that. Louise Hay is probably the mother of all affirmations. She is the one I would go to online. She has many books on affirmations, and she's amazing. So you may try that. And then just for today, I'm kind to all living things, and that has a couple different meanings. Kind to animals, plants, foods, material things. But I think the thing that's forgotten in that is people forget to be kind to themselves. And we're taught to be kind to our neighbor, but we actually forget that we're also our own neighbor. So we have ourself, right? We have our left brain, our physical body, we have our higher self. So we actually have a neighboring self inside of our body. So also be kind to yourself. So start to look and pay attention at how you talk to yourself. You probably yell at yourself a lot more than you yell at other people. You can start to try to see yourself as a child, because we've talked about we all have an inner child. You wouldn't probably look at your own child or someone else's child and be like, oh, you idiot, or oh, this. So start to notice when you're saying that stuff to yourself and start to be a little kinder to yourself. So you have your own inner child that's still throwing tantrums, making mistakes, and living out these past traumas. So the more that we can be kind to this child in ourselves, and it helps also to, let's say, your husband or your coworker or whoever, they also have their own inner child that's acting out, that's throwing tantrums. And sometimes it helps to see them when they're acting out as a little child. And it doesn't mean that you say that their behavior is acceptable or okay. It's just more like, okay, we're going to give you a minute and we're going to move on. But that still means you have to be authentic, set your own boundaries. You just have to let go of how their behavior is affecting you. And I hope that part made sense. Anything you need to add to that Paige, or did that make sense?
No, I thought that made perfect sense. Absolutely. Those principles will guide you in so many ways. I know when I first got my Reiki, I had them on stick-it notes all over the house because I would get angry and then I would get mad at myself for feeling angry, because then their guilt would start coming up and I wasn't being nice to myself. So there were all these things. So I would just put it everywhere. I had little sticky notes all over the house and it was really helpful. And you can do that with affirmations too. Think about places that you look often. If you want, we'll definitely in an email send you these Reiki principles and we'll post them in the Facebook group as well. But if any of those really resonated with you, write it down and put it somewhere that you can see, and put it a couple different places so you can catch yourself throughout the day, reminding yourself. And a very easy way to do it, and this is the hardest one, is to look in the mirror and look in the eyes of your eyes and say, I love you. Do that as much as possible, because with self-care and self-love, we look at an absolute stranger and we say, oh, nice earrings, nice shoes. We do it all the time where we give strangers these compliments, but we never give them to ourselves. So look in the mirror and say, nice earrings. I like your shoes. I like the way your eyes sparkle. And smile. And look back at that person like that person was an absolute stranger to you. And I'd be willing to bet if you saw a stranger that looked exactly like you, you would have a million compliments. If you saw a person that looked just like you, that wasn't you, going about the day and doing the same things you do, I bet you'd have a million compliments for them. I bet you would even think, wow, they were an amazing person. But somehow, when it's our life and our self, we find all the faults. And so remember to compliment yourself and take that compliment. And if someone gives you a compliment, say thank you. One of the first things that I learned when I was a performing artist, I was in a play. And the director came over to me. I was young, I was like 17. And the director, who was a big deal, came over and shook my hand and he said, good job. And he held his hand and I was like, oh, well, I messed up on this. And he goes, no. He's like, you're going to start over. He said, I just gave you a compliment and I need you to receive that. And I was like, shocked. I was like, oh. And he's like, so he started over. He said, good job, Paige. And he held out his hand and I said, thank you. And it was amazing how different it felt to say thank you and to accept that compliment. And he taught me such an important lesson. Someone compliments you. Oh, I like your shirt. Oh, I got it. It's somewhere. Oh, I like your hair. Say thank you. I like your hair. Thank you. Even if you think your hair doesn't look that good that day, say thank you. If someone
Mhm.
likes your shirt, even if you just spilled chili on it, say thank you. Right? Just learn how to accept compliments from the universe and give them to yourself. It's really important in that self-care and self-love aspect.
100%, because again, we're really good at giving, but we've not been taught how to receive, and not to receive with gratitude and thanks and appreciation. And I think that's amazing. A couple things I would say. So, in order to maintain the state of presence, there are some practices you could do to create these neural pathways again, which is how change is lasting. Make one small change every day. It doesn't have to be anything big. Again, typically, if you get up and you go straight to the coffee maker and turn it on, maybe tomorrow you brush your teeth first, or that might be weird, or anything you can change opposite in your routine to switch it up a tiny bit, try that. If it doesn't last, that's okay. Keep small promises to yourself. So these are I'm going to give up, I'm going to only have 1 cup of coffee a day instead of 3. That's going to be huge. It's going to take practice. If you make a mistake, it's okay. Try it again tomorrow. It's okay, Brittany. You did great. This is new. Try it again tomorrow. Think of yourself as that inner child. You're not going to be like, oh, I did this again. So, and if you do, bring it back to the present moment and move on. No one's perfect. I take that back. You're perfect as you actually are, but it's okay to make mistakes. So be gentle with yourself is just so big. Forgive yourself. Find a support system. If you have a friend that wants to try this, it's huge. Paige and I have started to rely on each other. So we've become accountability partners. If you can get one, do it, because you're like, hey, I'm off this week. Can you give me a Reiki session? Or, hey, I don't know what I'm doing with my anything this week, and I just don't know what I'm thinking. Can you help me? And then try to create a daily practice you can commit to. And again, if you forget, it's okay. But if you're like me, I've realized I go and I work these 12-hour shifts, and then sometimes I've forgotten that I've even adopted a new practice. And I'm like, well, shoot. So that's the accountability partner. So take notes, whether it's writing in a journal for 1 minute a day, or breathing 3 deep breaths in one day for only once. That's anything. So it can be anything tiny. Pick one thing and just start. Starting doing anything is better than doing nothing, and it's going to start to create that change. And the Paige, I like that you talk a lot about saying yes. And I thought maybe you could talk about the yes and.
Yes. So when I was a young girl and I was moved to Manhattan to be a famous actress, I got a lot of rejection. I was constantly told I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't skinny enough, I wasn't fat enough, I wasn't tall enough, I wasn't short enough, I wasn't blonde enough, I wasn't this enough, I wasn't that enough. And I started to just eat up all that rejection. I was just really down on myself. I was constantly feeling not enough. And for fun, I started saying, well, maybe I'll take an improv class for fun. And I studied improvisational theater at the People's Improv Theater, and it turned into a very spiritual experience for me, because improvisational theater, if you think about it, it's not much different than life. We don't wake up every morning with a script and say, Paige is going to get out of bed and say, hallelujah, what a great day. And, like Paige is going to get out of bed and stub her toe and curse them. There's no script for life. Everything that happens just happens. So if you think about it, we're improvising all the time on the daily. There are sometimes we have conversations in our head ahead of time. That's not what I mean. Because when you get in that moment with that conversation, you never know where it's going to go. And so I started to realize that not only was improv really beautiful for me as a performer, it also kind of combined. I'd always struggled. I was a healer on one hand and I was a performing artist on the other hand. And improv kind of created that yin yang that I was looking for. It was a yes and. So in improvisational theater and in life, These are the kind of guru philosophies from. Number one, listen to really listen. Because what happens is if you're talking to someone 9 times out of 10, and I was super guilty of this, I'm a talker. And when I'm a talker, I'd hear something that I want to say, and I'd wait until they were done so I could say it. It was a funny joke, or it was like, oh, I have a connection with you. I did that too. And you just wait until they take the smallest breath and be like, I did that too. But if you actually listen to really listen, your answer might be completely different or vastly inappropriate. So a lot of times struggles in our life, especially in relationships, happen because we're not really listening to really listen to the other person, especially if this is a person in our life, like a parent or a lover that has a long-term relationship in our life, because we think we know what that person is going to think, say, and do before they ever do it. And if you want that relationship to really be successful, you need to take a breath when you know what you want to say and they're still talking, and let it go. And you wait until they're done. And if that thing still matches, you can say it. But I'm going to bet a penny it doesn't match anymore. So your response is going to be different. And if you do that as well, then you're really listening to really listen. And a trick in improv is you wait until the very last thing that they say, and you start your next sentence with the first letter of their last word, which means you can't even be thinking about what you're going to say until that person is absolutely done speaking. Sure. So you see how the last thing I said was speaking. So then I started my sentence with sure. It's hard to do because then you're really in the present moment, because you're listening to everything that they have to say to hear what that very last word is. And you're waiting to make sure that they're done talking to make sure that is their last word. So listening to really listening. The next thing about life in improv is to say yes. And I thought for the longest time that I was a yes person. And not in a bad way, but like I thought that I would always say yes because I was so playful and I wanted to have fun. But the thing is, hold on, someone's coming in. Let me just make sure they're right. So when you say yes, you really start allowing yourself to open up to possibilities. And the universe listens to yeses. By you taking this 21-day healing, you said yes. You started a momentum for other things to start coming into your life. But if you looked at it and said, maybe, and you put it aside, think about all the healing that you would have missed out on at this point. And you've got so much more ahead of you. And I started to realize that even though I loved improv and I was, like to do things, a lot of times I would say, no, I can't afford it. No, I don't think that's right for me. Or no, and it wasn't no that I couldn't do the thing. It was actually no that I was afraid to do it. I was using time, money, or health as an excuse. And if you're using time, money, or health as an excuse to not do something that you really actually want to do, you're hurting yourself in the long run. So the first step is to say yes, because then you open yourself up to synchronicities and to more things that happen. Now, the next thing in improv is not just a yes, it's a yes and. And the yes and comes in from when you're doing improv. If someone says, you're an elephant, you say, yes. And I love to eat flowers. So all of a sudden you're a big elephant and I love to eat flowers. And then the person goes, yes, you're an elephant that loves to eat flowers and I'm going to give you cake. And then you say, oh, yes, and I love cake. And then they go, and I made you one right here. And you go, oh, I'm an elephant that likes to eat flowers and cake, and there's flowers on the cake and everybody's happy. And you start playing back and forth. And so what happens is a scene can start happening, which is fun and playful. But if someone comes in and goes, you're an elephant, you go, no, I'm not. And they go, you like to eat flowers. I'm allergic. Where's the scene going to go? And so much in life, that's the case. And again, especially with long-term relationships with family members and lovers and spouses, they say something and your automatic is no, no, no. You're stopping that person from trying to love you and to give you things. If someone's opening the door and you're like, no, I got it, you're not allowing yourself to accept and to receive something that's being offered to you. There's so much fun and playfulness in saying yes and my husband and I have a way of fighting where he'll say something and I'll go, yes, and and then we'll keep going. And now he does it to me and I'm like, you're improving on me. That's my thing. But it works because what happens is instead of us being like, no, you're wrong, I hate you, you'd always do this, it's, yes, I can do that for you, and I will. I need to finish this, and then I will do that for you. It slows down the conversation, even in conflict, when you're saying yes and. Now, I'm not saying say yes. If someone says is going to do you harm, absolutely, knows our boundaries. But the thing is, if you start learning the power and the beauty of yes, you'll understand more the power of no. Because then your yeses really mean yes, and your no's can really mean no. So it's that yin yang again. And the other thing with improv that I loved was that you're supposed to fail. Failing is a first attempt in learning. And in improv, we actually celebrate each other's failures because that's the best way we're going to learn. And the best and funniest scenes always happen with a mistake. Someone's pants drop and you're like, it's funny. You're like, oh my God, my belt, but it happens, in improv, when there's a mistake, beautiful things can come from it. Things that you couldn't have even imagined when you were setting up the scene. And so if you start looking at mistakes and failures as gifts, all of a sudden, everything gets more beautiful. Everything gets more light. Everything gets more playful. Instead of, why is life so hard? You start saying, what else is possible? Right? What else, instead of what else can go wrong? What else can go right? You start changing the way that you think about life. And if you make a mistake, you're like, wow, I didn't get that job. Instead of saying I failed, you're like, I wonder what else is possible. If that wasn't right for me, whoa, universe, you have something better in store for me? Heck yeah, bring it on. The universe works in play. The universe does not work in journalings and in scripted worlds, right? The universe works in play. You'll notice that when you everybody think back to a time that everything you said, it came to you within 5 seconds. Like you just manifested it so fast. Does everybody have something in mind right now? I'd be willing to bet you were happy when that was happening, weren't you? It was a happy time of your life, wasn't it? Happiness and joy frequency. When you start saying yes to the universe says yes to you. When you start saying yes and to the universe says yes and to you. And the universe starts to create a life for you that's better than you can imagine. When you start celebrating in your mistakes and your failures and accepting them as just done. Like, what's next? What else? What else? What else? Hey. You start playing with the universe starts playing with you. And that's a lot of times law of attraction. People think, I want $1 million. I want $1 million. I now have $1 million. Instead of being like, yes, I found a penny on the street. I found a penny in the sofa. And then you start finding some change in the sofa and you're like, I found a quarter in the sofa. And then you say, oh, you found $1. I found $1 in my pocket in the laundry. And then you're like, oh, I found a $20 bill. Yeah. Okay, big difference. The universe is like, oh, you like the penny? I can do better than that. So every time you find something you like, you celebrate, you go, yeah, universe, I'll take this penny on the street, show me more. and make it as a game with the universe instead of being like, I will manifest this because I am strong enough and powerful enough. Then the universe is, it's just like a lover, right? The universe is going to be like, you're acting a little weird. I don't want to go with that. So just have fun with the universe. And because the number one thing about improv that I learned is to have fun. If you're having fun, then you're going to have fun in your set. And there you go. So that's improv. It's listen to really listen. Say yes and fail and have fun. And if you can do those 5 things, you're saying yes to the universe, and the universe will say yes to you. And you're also very much so in the present moment.
Exactly. Because we're breaking through these barriers, breaking through the belief systems that we aren't enough, that we don't have enough. And when we break through those, we get on the frequency of abundance, expansion, joy, and we attract more of that. Because really, we are so powerful, these powerful creators. And when we're on that frequency, we really can't be stopped. So we have to believe that we can have it, is where it starts. So start to change the patterns, create these neural pathways, and see what comes up for you. Do you want to talk a little bit about the clearing statements when something does come up?
Yeah, sure. So I am certified in neurolinguistic programming, and I also study vibrational upgrade medicine and access consciousness clearing. So what that kind of sits under is the same umbrella that Brittany's been talking about, this reprogramming your brain, because our thoughts are so powerful in our life. And so Dane here has a clearing statement, which I love to use. And there was like a summit of many healers. And what they did was they got together and they looked at all these unconscious and subconscious blocks that we have, all of us as humans, as the collective. And they created a clearing statement, and they basically sent it Reiki, so it has power. So sometimes you might hear me say right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all 9, shorts, boys, and beyond. It's kind of like gobbledygook, very similar to like how when I speak light language, don't worry about what is actually being said versus just letting it wash over you. And this clearing statement is very similar to that. So if you catch yourself saying something that's negative, you can say that clearing statement, and it's just kind of telling the higher consciousness, like, no, we can do better than that. So in neurolinguistic programming, there's statements. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I'm this, I'm this, I'm that. And that are kind of just, and it's not that we're really thinking those thoughts. It's that our actions in the back of the brain, that reptilian brain that we have, somehow in our life, or, if you believe in past lives, was programmed to think this and this. The thing about our brain is our brain works in the knowing field. So, for example, this is a flower, but if you don't know the name of this flower, your brain's going to look at it and go, purple flower, right? But if you've never seen a purple flower before, how would you describe it? What would you tell someone to do? If you'd never seen a purple flower before, you could look at this and you could give it a whole different word, a whole different sound. So again, that law of attraction of I'm going to manifest $1 million doesn't work if in the knowing field, you don't know what $1 million is. You have nothing to base it on, because our brain is set up. If A is this, then B is that, and you program it. And there's all these little maps. I call it maps. There's a map that goes from here. So if someone tries to love me, then it ends up of, I'm not going to let them get close enough to love me. That's a map, right? And it's most of the time it's subconscious. You don't even realize it's there. But then if you start to be conscious enough with principal Reikis that Brittany was saying, and you start to notice that you've got a map that's created, that's always leading you in the same path, you're always doing the same thing, then you're going to say, interesting. I need to create a new map. I need to reprogram that. So Anywhere and a lot of times you'll hear me say anywhere and everywhere. So anywhere and everywhere that I push people away when they're trying to love me, I'm going to do it for you. Anywhere and everywhere that you are push people away that are trying to love you, are you willing to clear, cancel, and delete that through all space and time? You say yes out loud, and then you allow that clearing statement to come in. And then right and wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, online, shorts, boys, and beyond. And you start so what that does is it tell your brain like, oh, no, 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 no more of that, no more of that. We're going to reprogram that. We're going to create a new map. So in access consciousness or vibrational upgrade medicine, what we do is we say statements that are a root block that we're feeling. Something is happening over here. So we're gonna create a new map. And the more you hear the new map, all of a sudden, instead of going straight to here like you've always done, you're going to acknowledge it and you'll be like, oh, wait, no, I'm going to go here. So you create a new map, and that's how you start making new choices. So all of a sudden you're going to go, oh, this is when I would normally do this. But I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to go here. And that's when all of a sudden that map is closed. You're not going to push people away when they try to love you anymore because you've got a new map, which is, yes, I love you too. Right. So it's just about reprogramming the map inside of your brain. So that way you start saying yes to what you want to say to in life. And I will definitely post that access consciousness. And sometimes when I'm healing, I'm putting in rephrasing. So I'm worthy. I'm not worthy. Nobody loves me. No, I'm worthy. Everybody loves me. Yes. So you might hear things like that from me too. And a lot of times that's just coming from a place where I'm picking up that there's a background block, and I'm going to try to create a new map for you. And that's where you'll hear some of those statements here and there a while. And you can also look into more of that for yourself. It's wonderful to listen to. Listening to affirmations are beautiful, because if you're always going, I'm broke, I have no money. But then if you start listening to all these affirmations, I am wealthy, I am blessed, then your brain starts to hear, I'm broke, and I'm not broke. I've got so much this, and then you start catching yourself like, oh, no. I can reprogram that. Start to give yourself the power to catch your thoughts and then change the direction that they're heading in. And that's when when you've got new thoughts like, that's a new thought. That's when you're creating a new map, which is what we want to be doing.
I love that. That's perfect. All right. I think you had one more thing you wanted to talk about. We have probably about 15 minutes left, so I think that's perfect.
Sure. There are a couple of us on the call just to take up this. We've had a pretty intense healing week. For those of us on the call, does anyone want to unmute and ask a question or have any, anything? Like, did you have some feedback that you want to share with us? Anything like that? This would be a perfect time. I'm listening to really listen to see if anybody has anything. All right. I think that means that we are all feeling pretty good. That's wonderful. If you're listening to this on the replay, please reach out to us if you have any questions, or because Brittany and I are facilitating this together, we love to have feedback. So if you realize that during the distant Reiki session around 3:00, you felt something, let us know, or after the fact, or, if any of our healings kind of resonate for you, we love to hear that too, because it helps us also kind of create the maps where we're going to go for our next healings for you as well. One thing that's come up in both Brittany's healings and my healings a lot this week has been about finding our center and finding our, thank you, finding our center and being really focused on shining our light. It's come up, the solar plexus has kind of come up a lot in all the different ways. So I just wanted to, we've got 15 more minutes. So how about for this last minute, I'll walk us through a short meditation to kind of focus on that alignment of your soul creation, which is in your solar plexus. So if everyone just wants to take a second, get your bodies feeling where they're in a comfortable position. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to ground our energy. But whenever we have silent space or time to meditate, the first thing you want to do is to ground your energy. So that way you're embodied. So again, just kind of imagine all of that energy around the top of your head, thoughts, feelings, anything like that. And with each deep breath, you're going to slowly breathe that energy down all the way to your toes, and then send a grounding cord or root down to the center of the earth. So your first breath, that energy is between your eyes, goes down to your neck, your heart, your navel, just below your navel, into your hips, your knees, ankles, to the soles of your feet, down through the floor that you're sitting on or standing on, the foundation, through the dirt, right to the center of the earth. Now what I want you to do is I want you to feel with your next breath. I want you to feel your breath. I want you to feel the intake of air into your lungs and out of your lungs, and kind of feel where that air sits right outside of your body. Just feel the air in and out. With your next breath, I want you to feel inside of your body, to feel your skeleton. And I want you to feel your organs and your blood circulating through your body. I want you to focus on the very center of your physical body, the absolute center of you. Find a cell, an atom, that is at the absolute center core of you. And I want you to imagine in your mind's eye, see, know, feel, sense that there is a very small flicker of light right in that very center cell, center space of your body. And this is your spark of your soul creation. The moment you were conceived, you were a single cell that split and split and split. And right now we're going back to just that original spark. And from that original spark, I want you to see, feel, or know that that spark is growing. And I want that spark to radiate like the shape of a star. And it's going to fall just like the shape of a star. It has 5 points: your head, your arms, and your feet. I want you to feel that center spark getting larger to encompass this whole body that you're in. And with each breath in and out, that little tiny star gets just a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And now it's filling the whole space of your chest. And it's going up now, where the arms are starting to stretch down from your shoulders into your actual arms. And that light is going all the way down your arms, your shoulder, your elbow, your wrist, your thumb, your pointer, your middle finger, your ring finger, your pinky. You can feel that light growing. And now the energy of that star is now going down your limbs. The light is going to your hips, to your knees, to your ankles, to the soles of your feet. And that point of that star is now going up your neck to the very top. Now I want you to see, know, feel, or sense or do that your entire inside is glowing. It is glowing. It is contained inside of your physical body. Every cell, every atom, every part of you is glowing bright and beautiful. And just feel the reverberation of that energy, every atom of your being. Now, from the point of the star, have that energy going out of your hair and through each strand of your hair to now where every single strand on your hair is glowing. And now it's your skin. Your skin is starting to glow on the outside. Your eyebrows, your eyelashes, your lips, your ears. You are a glowing container. And now I want the energy to fill the room that you're in. Fill the entire room with that glowing energy. And the whole room is glowing and vibrating with your energy. And with the next deep breath, and on the exhalation, your energy now fills the whole floor that you're on. Every corner, every crevice, every article of furniture, everything is glowing now with your frequency. And now it's not just the floor, it's the whole building that you're in. The whole building is glowing. It's glowing. Every crevice, every atom is glowing. And then we go out and we're going to keep going. And now we're filling our entire street with our energy. We're expanding that all the way down the street. Every house, every single person in the house is glowing with your energy. And then your town and your state, your country, your continent, and your planet. And now even more vast, all the way through your galaxy, through the universe. You are now pure light. This is how expansive and beautiful you are. When you are putting your field and energy out into the universe sees and loves and know you. Now I want you to take that energy and I want you to imagine it now kind of coming in like a beautiful pillar, and it's all kind of compacting, and it's going, instead of going out as big as the universe, it's now going to go straight up. That energy is going to shift. So this is how we're going to bring our inner, we're still going to keep our frequency, but we're going to have it tighter inside of our body. And it's a big cone that goes right up through the universe. And now you can ask that energy and all that wisdom to come down through the cosmos, through the sky, through the galaxy, and right through the very tip of your star on the top of your head. And now that energy is completely expanded and completely part of the universe, but also in your body. So when you are meditating or praying and you feel distractions or anything like that, remember that you can be expanded but contained. And you can choose when to go as big as the universe and the galaxies, and when to be as small as that little tiny beautiful speck in that cell of your first spark of creation. And I want you to just slowly bring all that energy back to that soul star creation right in the center of your being. And when you feel that energy is contained and it's inside of you and is vibrating, you can come back to your physical body and allow yourself to wake up as we say goodbye.
Beautiful. I'm really glad that you did that, because I think I had shared with Paige after I did my distance Reiki session on you all on Thursday, or sorry, Saturday, maybe Sunday. Sunday? Sunday. I
Sunday.
was had a bit of a GI bug. I was feeling tired, feeling fatigued, which I wanted to explain to you guys may be happening during this. So this meditation she just did will help clear that. I was also feeling a pain in my stomach that woke me up many times that night, right where you just brought us. So I'm glad you did that healing. I think that's really powerful, because we're all shifting. As we shift, we are shifting the world, and we are so expansive. So this is amazing.
And there's collective healing that's going on. So if you're starting to feel something where you're like, is this a cold or is this connected to something? Post that in the group, because chances are, I noticed that a lot of women, including myself, these last couple of days have been having a lot of like cramps and lower back pain, even though it's not necessarily our time of the month. And a lot of that has to do with a 5D collective. There's been an activation with our sacred sexuality. So that's kind of something that's happening to a lot of women right now. So because we are kind of in this higher frequency, then, honestly, we're in a higher frequency right now than most of the people. They're not even thinking where they need to be doing stuff like this. So the more that we kind of evolve and do the work for ourselves, we're lighting the way for other people. So we might feel things in our bodies that actually have to do with what's happening in the universe. And if you ever have something like that, you can, post it in the Facebook group or email us about it, because it might be something collective that's happening. Or if it's something that's happening just for you, Brittany and I can know about it so we can work on that for you specifically in your healing sessions as well.
Good point.
Well, it's 3:00, my dear friends. And so this now concludes our Zoom healing session. The recording will be emailed out to everyone. I'm excited for the second week, and I wish you all many blessings and just so much joy this week. Just like Brittany said, just for today, find a new thought. Just for today, try something new. Just for today, listen to really listen. Just for today. And just kind of allow yourself to be in that moment. And if you want my advice, flirt a little bit with the universe. Have fun with the universe and see what the universe can bring to you.
Ooh, I like that idea.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.